The greatest lesson that I learned from that was that I need to love myself more, and that I really need to like make sure. Like, this sounds so selfish, but like that I'm being taken care of in the sense of like me putting myself first.
Yeah. Cool. I think we're good.
Cool.
Hopefully I don't need to go pee like during the thing.
Same.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
Yeah?
Yeah. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Are you nervous?
Are you high right now? Just kidding. Yeah.
Yeah?
Just a little bit.
I'm nervous too. What are we nervous about?
I don't know.
You don't know?
The questions that may come.
What's the worst I'm going to ask you? What should I ask you?
Oh my God.
What should I not ask you about? Where you'll be like, all right.
I don't know.
Last question.
No, like everything's game. It's just like, I don't know.
You don't know?
Yeah. Like when you were like, yo, let me, like, you know, I'd be down to have you on the show. It was like.
What'd you think? What was the first thought that came to your mind?
It was like, damn, I'm sick. I'm excited. What?
And then you're like, oh, fuck.
It's like, what kind of questions do I answer? Like, what?
Nah, I just wanted to talk to you.
Yeah, what's up?
I think you're an interesting conversation. Yeah, so that's basically what it was. I was just like, she seems like a good time. Do you think you converse well? Like, do you think like you can, like, what do you rate yourself in holding a conversation? Do you think about this?
Yeah, actually, because at work, like, that's my job. I have to talk to people about art. Yeah. I
think, so you work at Mocha?
Yeah.
Or like, it sounds like there's three places you go to?
Yeah, so I work I work at Mocha, and they spread us around at like the Geffen, Contemporary, Grand Avenue, the PDC. And so I work in the galleries as a gallery attendant, and I also sell tickets. Dang. And then I also recently started working at the bookstore, so I'm like working the retail museum aspect. And I also work at the Neon Museum in Glendale.
You love working at museums then, huh?
Yeah.
So are you the person like in the exhibits that like are the security people, like you hold it down?
Yeah, pretty much. It's like art protection over everything. But it's like art protection with like education mixed into it.
Gotcha. So you can really like go off and be like, oh, this is the history of, or this is what they're. I had one person. Where was I? I'm about to get nervous saying your name. Is it the Broad or is it the Broad?
Ooh, it's the Broad.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
I said the Broad one time to somebody, and they thought it was a Broad. And then like the look of like pretension you get when you correct them. Yeah. And like you're like, oh, it's like the Broad, and they're like, oh, okay, excuse me, you know. Yeah. So I just wanted to make sure.
Level of pretentious. I guess it depends on whether you know where it's coming from. Because if you know Eli Broad, you would know that it's the Broad. Yeah. If you don't know it's Eli Broad, you would never assume it. You would assume like the Broad. It's like a Broad museum. Yeah.
I always thought,
a wide arrangement.
This is where my sick brain comes into play, because when I think of the Broad, I remember a time when, like, unknowingly, I would, because I probably heard it in the rap song first, and I called a girl Broad one time, and she was like, nah, she wasn't having it. And so she corrected me. So every time I hear the word broad, I associate it to that. Because, like, we kind of remember what we get embarrassed. Like, embarrassment's a great teacher. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
I always thought, when I heard broad, I was like, yo, that's I don't know if I can say that out loud, actually. But I'm sure, like, it's very common for people to mix that up just because of that museum attracts everybody. Like, the people who don't know who Eli Broad was, and just like that, you know, the casual, like, oh, let's just go do a date at the museum type people, you know?
Right. And yeah, it's kind of like that. I mean, when you go to that museum, it's so crowded.
Yeah.
And, like, not only is it free, because it's like Hauserwirth is free.
Yeah.
Why isn't Hauserwirth, like, booming crazy that?
Yeah.
And it was when it first opened.
Yeah, but now it's kind of dying down and stuff.
Yeah, and it's because there's not, like, big time artists. That whole museum, it's his personal collection of artwork.
Yeah.
So it's like, of course, all the best of the best
is up in there.
He's an entrepreneur, like, come on. Like,
So you get so, like, when you're holding it down during work, and because I've been at the museum. I think it was at the Broad when this happened, where there was this girl taking, like, a selfie or something, and then she, like, tripped and almost knocked down the whole piece. Like, it was like my heart stopped for a second.
Yeah.
What happens in your head when that? Has that happened to you before? Like,
oh my God, yeah.
Like, just people just, like, not even giving a care about what's happening, and they just end up destroying someone's piece.
Yeah, actually, I like know so much tea about the Broad, but
really,
like, when they first opened, they were very lenient on, like, the rules and, like, how close people could get and stuff, and, like, up until someone damaged the Rauschenberg, like, really bad, where they, like, ripped off a whole piece of, like, newspaper and, like, fabric from, like, one of, like, his famous works, and yeah, like, it was ruined. And, like, a few got ruined. And
what happens when that happens? Like, it's just,
it depends on
like, what's the procedure, like, after that happens?
It depends on the artwork, because some, like, at least at Mocha, we're everything at least is, like, either on a loan or it's in our collection, and it's different than, like, having your own personal collection that's like a private museum, but we're, like, a public institution. So depending on the artist, they have different foundations. So like Donald Judd, he has his own foundation, and if some of his work gets touched or damaged, the foundation has to send someone to clean it up and to check it out, and registrar then has to come with the exhibition team that set it up, and they have to look through extensive, like, books of photos of, like, each little section of the thing, and then
so
they have
document that kind of stuff.
Everything.
Like, they document everything on to, like, preserve just, like, how it looked originally.
Exactly. And so, like,
so they gotta go through that whole procedure, and just is there do people, like, sue each other frequently?
I mean,
is there money involved?
Yeah, there's money involved. I think it's the reason they have to take all those protocols and all those steps in order not to get sued.
Like, the museum itself? Okay.
Yeah, because then it's, like, the museum's job to take care of it. So then it's like, if something really bad happens, obviously they can lay someone off. They could just be like, bro, you're not doing your work. You fucked up. So it depends. But if, you know, something gets damaged and the museum was negligent and they didn't take care of it or handle it appropriately, they could get sued or in trouble, or, like, get that painting taken away from them or something, if it's, like, a promised gift or something like that.
How about installations, like, full on, not paintings or anything, but like say a sculpture, or like
Like a fully immersive thing.
Yeah. Is that what you call it? That like that when you have like a full on,
like a full room full of something.
Yeah. Like sometimes you see like something that looks like a living room or something, and it has like, and that's part of the whole experience, I guess. So is that what how you describe it? I guess I'm just like already literate, you know.
It would be like
that's what you call like a fully immersive piece.
Yeah, because you're like immersed into it.
Yeah, that's exactly how.
So you're
is.
like invited inside.
Yeah.
So with those, it depends too. Like sometimes we can own certain sections of like a full installation or like a full thing. So like there is this piece by Thomas Hirschhorn called Chromatic Fire, and we only owned a little portion of that piece. So but it was part of like a much larger show at like a private gallery, but essentially we acquired it, whatever, and we install it like as a full immersive thing, but it's not like the full thing. It's still like an excerpt.
Gotcha.
But then there's like right now at MoCA where it's like Lauren Halsey and like her work. It's like a fully immersive thing, but we don't own it. It's just like she sets it up, she takes it away.
She takes it out.
Yeah.
So you have like, you're like an encyclopedia of art.
They teach us a lot at MoCA actually.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's tight.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you have a newfound. Do you find yourself appreciating? So how do you go about like observing a piece at this point? You know, do you? Obviously, I think it's natural to like appreciate it more once you get some backstory on it.
Definitely.
But how do you approach it? Do you go to and like find a meaning for yourself before hearing that, or do you like getting the background first and then kind of observing?
I think like a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
When I was at Cal Poly, I took this photography class called Understanding and Appreciating the Photographic Image. And it literally went from like the early first photo to like, you know, film and like, and pretty much all our projects were deconstructing images and like, you know, what do you see? What about that makes you say that? All, like really breaking it down. And then through dance and like doing modern and like really, again, like dance theater, and my professor, my mentor Gail, she would always be like, why are you using that song? Do you know the historical context? Does that really like, you know, add to your message? Does it take away? Like, you know,
things are considered.
Exactly. Like everything kind of has a meaning.
It has to.
And if you're making art that's really valuable and like at least therapeutic in a way or helping you, like everything has like a little bit of symbolic meaning, and you know, it's something to just be aware of that. Like, you know, if you use like a political song and you're like doing some like happy go lucky choreo, like it's kind of clashing, and it's not fair to like the artist and the true like initial intention, and it's kind of weird. But the way I like look and approach art now, and especially being in the galleries and having to talk to people that are like way more knowledgeable than me, and people that have like absolutely no knowledge of it,
not whatsoever.
It's like I have to gauge and I have to break it down again for them too.
How do you gauge? What does that look like? You know?
Oh man, it's in their body. It's in their body.
How do you know? How do you know when you see someone and you're like, this person knows what's up? What does that person look like? When
a person really respects the space of a work.
Oh, okay.
I think that's when a person is like, you know, granted, sometimes you have to get close and you're like in it, and the work is calling you and you have to go to it.
Yeah.
I get that too, but like sometimes it's just like the amount of time people spent, their body, like how their body is kind of like reacting, and like non-verbal communication is happening.
Yeah.
their gaze, like the way they're looking. I don't know, like to me, I just sometimes will spend my time just like staring at someone that's fascinated by a work, and I'm like, it's
gotta
so
be
beautiful.
so fun to like people watch during those times. Oh, you're probably over it at this point.
It's like bittersweet. It's like some people are like so amazing, and then some people you're just like,
wow. I really like I really excuse me. I really appreciate. I remember one time I went to the museum with my lady, right? And I think we were observing like a Basquiat piece, right? No, it was a Keith Haring.
Oh, at the Broad?
Yeah.
Okay.
And like we were, we were at a reasonable distance, but like so what do they call the people that are like holding it down?
They're just like docents. The universal name is like a gallery docent.
A docent?
Yeah.
Where's that from? Like the origin, like the word. I'm thinking like you just know all languages that have ever lived on the planet and stuff.
No, I don't know. I don't know where docent came from.
It sounds like you had to say that with an accent.
Docent.
So an art docent. So she came up.
Yeah.
And I love her for this. She came up and then she just started just breaking it down for us, like, and it wasn't like not even like in a combative way or just like an aggressive way. It was just like more like like a what are you seeing type of thing.
Right.
Even though she already knew the answer, it was almost like being in elementary school again. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, and I really appreciated that. Like I think. You guys, you play like a huge role for the experience sometimes when, for the casual, observer, maybe even for like, the pro or whatever, for sure. I don't know. I'm just saying. I think it's just. I just really appreciate their presence.
Yeah, totally. And like I've had experiences like that too, where like. My first experience where I was like, what the, this is why I need to be here. It was like a school group that came in, and it was these 3 little boys, and they were all like Latinos, first gen. And one of them was like really shy, and like 2 of his friends were kind of like dressed better, because that's what he put it as. And he just looked really intimidated and uncomfortable in the galleries, and I went up to him and I was like, hey, like what's up, like and started a conversation with him. Then he started telling me like, yeah, I feel really dumb because I don't look good. My friends told me that I had to look good to come to the museum, and like, people dress a certain way at museums, and like.
Do they?
No, like, not at all.
I missed that. I missed that whole
the dress code. No. That's why I was like, damn, like this is so crazy, and like these are like my people, I had probably had that, type of mentality too, where it was like, I don't belong here. Like people like me don't go to museums. Like I don't even know what the fuck I'm supposed to see. Museums are just intimidating.
Yeah, they are.
And like the white walls you can't touch, there are these rules, and you're just like what? And so it's like, I don't even know why I'm supposed to like this and all this stuff. And then we just kind of got into like family history and like breaking down artwork that you see in a space and relating it to your life as far as like time wise and thinking about it in like your family's perspective, and then too like how important it is for like people like him, first gen kids, boys, girls, to like come to a space and reclaim that space and just be like, I'm here and I'm open to this experience.
That's powerful.
And
it changed his whole life.
No, really, like we were talking for like 20 minutes. Really? And like it went from like him like more closed to like him just opening and like laughing with each other and like just being like, damn, like I belong here, like and then he like went up to his friends and he's like, see, it doesn't matter what I'm wearing,
bitch ass.
literally. And I was like, damn. And I was like, you can make art about your family, you can make art about how you feel, like you can make, you know, if you feel like dabbing paint and splashing it and that's how you feel, like that's fine. You don't have to call it art, you don't have to call it anything. It's just like, it's do things for you,
exactly,
and like your family and like telling your history and your story, like that's important too. That's art. He was just like, what?
It just blew his whole mind. Like you saw his brain on the floor by the time he left.
So that was like, at that moment I knew like damn,
this is something serious that's happening.
My job goes kind of like far beyond me. I mean, it is me, but it's like it can like just go further. You're like a vessel of just like knowledge. So is it proper etiquette to like ask the docent questions? I mean, we encourage it, at least like when we're greeting people and like checking them in, we're like talk to the gallery attendants and stuff, because we're dying in the galleries. Like
I can only imagine you guys are standing the whole time.
We're standing, we're literally like, talk to us.
They got those like sports coat, like jacket things going on.
Freaking headpieces. It's cold.
I was in Spain one time, right? Well, I was in Spain recently, and I visited their contemporary art gallery. I can't even say the name. Like, I'd be embarrassed if I tried.
That's okay.
But it was in Madrid. It's for the Queen, I think, Sophia something. And well, first of all, it's so different going to, not even that different, but it feels like almost kind of isolating when you go to a museum and you don't speak the language. You know, I'm so used to going to museums and just, you know, even if it's not in English, the piece or something, like being able to read the description or something, and just, you know, in English. But, you know, obviously when you're in Spain, everything is Spanish as the first language. And so I'm kind of walking around, and I was visiting like a video art installation. It was like in the dark and stuff. But I left, and then I forgot, because I like taking pictures of like the artist and like the description of like who it was and all that, the year and all that, just as a note to kind of like do some research on it, just if I'm really into it and stuff, you know. And so I did that. I was gonna do that in this dark space, right? And I forgot I had the flash on. And like the amount of anger this woman had when she told me, don't, like, she didn't even say it in English, but I felt that shit in English.
Oh my God.
She was like, don't, keep the flash off. And I felt so bad, because I'm like, of course you're supposed to keep, like, I know better, you know what I mean? And I just felt like, you know, when you do something at the family event, like just causes your whole family embarrassment and stuff. And I was like, man, I'm sorry. I don't even know what to say, because I'm like, and then like insult upon injury, I don't know what to say in Spanish to say sorry. I'm like, so now I just sound like this arrogant American, like, sorry. And I felt really bad about that. But yeah, so like, but it's also, what was also pretty cool was seeing how angry she got. Like, like she made it as if it was her piece. You know what I'm saying? And even though it was like really embarrassing, like I was like, oh, that it like touched me in a way, because it's like, nah, they're all in it together, you know?
Right.
You get that sense like when you're docenting?
Yeah, I mean, there's like a sense of solidarity for sure, and like teamwork, and especially like, I mean, at Mocha, it's very like a family, you know. In the morning we start like in a circle, like in our check-ins, and we talk about things. And
are you cool with your coworkers?
Yeah.
Why are you laughing? Are they gonna watch this and be like,
I know, like, don't watch this.
She talking mad shit.
The tea's hot. Mocha. Just kidding. I mean, yeah, they're pretty chill. You know,
you
there's
got a lot of
obviously
kitchen,
no. Okay. There's some people that I'm just like, you know, they're not. They function differently. They're not.
They're on a different type of time.
Yeah, for sure. Like, people will, like, you know, it's just like any job.
Yeah.
People that are trying to like come up on you and like. And it's like little things where I'm like, you know, I've been here for 3 years. Like, I've seen people come and go. And like, at this point, I love my job to just have someone just be like, put me in a bad mood or put me in the headspace. So it's like little things that certain people do might like annoy me, but I'm just like, it's not for you. Yeah. Like, fuck.
Is it still kind of cliquey? Like, do people get to, like, isn't that weird? Because,
for sure.
Like, I don't think we grow out of that as humans.
No. I mean, even animals do that. Yeah,
it's so strange. Like, why are we like this? I'm pretty sure that's like how, like, even, like, if you go back to, say you go back to Africa and stuff, like, that's just how, like, tribes separate and stuff. It's just, I don't know. At the end of the day, I think we just want people that look like us or have the same thing going on for them. It's like, it's so strange that
it's genetic.
Yeah.
It's like, it's something that's much more than like it functions on like a natural thing.
Yeah, it's just like in an anthropological level, it's just like, it's just human nature.
For sure, yeah. Yeah, like, okay, I was listening to this NPR thing, granted, like, disclosure, I don't know if it's legit, I haven't done any of my research.
No, that's all, everything is fact here. We don't do any research.
Right.
We take everything at face value. Yeah.
Fuck, okay. So anyways, like, it was saying, you know, the big myth of, like, women are so hormonal and they have all these, like, shifts. And she was saying, you know, well, a man goes through hormonal peaks several times a day.
Oh.
Much more than a woman.
Huh?
Yeah, a woman does it in a month.
Yeah,
a man does it in a day.
I've definitely heard men have like emotional periods. Too.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying, and I feel that too. Like, yeah, there's just certain times. I think I'm in one right now. To be honest, where I'm just like in
it's
this
retrograde. I'm just kidding.
What does that mean? I don't know what that means. Like the Mercury retrograde. What does that mean?
It's like the Mercury planet is like at a place where you're just like, just fucks up with the
whole
pulls and the energies and if you're born in those moons. And,
yeah. Are you born in those moons?
I don't even know. Like, people have done my birth chart and I'm like, I'm a Pisces. I don't know.
Yeah.
Cusp.
Yeah. So what you were saying?
Oh yeah, but like, okay, so hormonal peaks and balances. And then like, so when a woman is looking for a mate, when she's like kind of like about to start her period or whatever.
Yeah, she's about to ovulate. Is that ovulation?
Yeah. She's ovulating. You know these terms.
Don't let me into I'm the last person that should be like intimidated. I'm dumb, you know.
So she looks for a mate that's big and strong and will protect her baby. and will pass down good genes, like just just naturally.
That's what they're
animals
looking for,
do that, like humans do that, and then after the baby is done, then or like after that passes, they look for the safe bet, the safe spouse that is like on good terms, like keep him safe, is consistent, like the sustainable mate.
I think that's where a lot of I was just talking about like I think that's where a lot of masculinity comes from. You know what I'm saying? It's just like at a primal level. I think, all right, men, protect, provide. Women, nurture and nurse. You know what I'm saying? And like take care of the family type thing. And so you have these characteristics that go on for so long. And then we're at a place where I don't think we need that in society now. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, we're like evolving as people still, where you're definitely seeing role switch. Like you're seeing women being able to protect and provide, and like me personally, I would love to be a stay-at-home dad. Like I don't have like an urge to like, all right, I gotta go get it. I do want to, provide for my family and stuff, but I don't think I have like that, like the bravado with it, I guess, Like I'm perfectly fine with if my spouse makes more than me or something, and I think we're getting to a point where that's starting to be more acceptable, but like say like 30 years ago, like it was just so different,
Yeah.
But yeah, like I was saying before, I think like me personally, I'm trying to like shed that stuff. Like I like asking for help. I need to start doing that more,
Well, I mean, there's like a whole process of unlearning too.
Yeah.
Which is hard, like that's, with like technology and like, more accessibility to information, maybe like textbooks, maybe more people are going to college now too.
Really?
Which I think is like what's fueling too this like openness, because you could take like gender studies classes now, and
knowledge is so powerful.
And so like more people are getting educated, which comes with like this burden of knowledge and like realizing of like,
it's a perfect way to put it.
Like knowing that like fuck, everything is truly fucked up. That like
and the more is more like you're like sitting there like, man,
like damn, I'm in a shithole.
Yeah, exactly.
But then like also being like, damn, it's not a shithole. This is where I live.
How you feel like now, like where everything is like in our world here in America, the United States of America, like how do you what's the first thing you wake up thinking now?
So much anxiety.
Really?
Yeah. And like it's like I try not to think about it, but like it's weird too, because before the elections and like maybe leading up to it, I was so like, no, fuck this, you gotta like, read the newspapers, you gotta like listen to the news, you gotta watch the news. And I always listened to like NPR every morning, and I was like really on my politics news game. Really? Now I'm like, I fucking dread it. I can't even listen to NPR anymore. Really? Like I get so anxious and really, really sick.
It takes you through like a rabbit hole of like the worst that can happen. You know what I'm saying?
And I like, this is, to me, I'm like, it really is making me think too, like, because people are like, this is not the America I knew. And it makes me really think about like, what is the America that I knew? Like to me, the America I always knew was like trying to catch my parents, because my parents are illegal immigrants. So like,
mine were too for a minute.
Yeah, so it's like, for me, it was like always about like, you can't trust, you can't do this, you can't do that. Like, very like, kind of like shady, weird, but also kind of like, I'm taught to like love my country and do my Pledge of Allegiance every morning.
Did you do that as like growing up?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did too. But like even just like the notion of pledging it to a flag is so strange.
Yeah, you know, like when you realize now, like you're like, whoa,
that's
I was
some cold shit. You know? But it's like for a whole nation.
Yeah.
So
and especially the whole thing with like, you know, people like protesting with like the, taking the knee, and then like the backlash that like that backlash like blew my mind.
Because like the whole message got convoluted. Like
just like everything. I feel like
my whole thing with that was like, I think it was a pertinent gesture, you know. Like I think it's the right thing to do, but then I also thought, like when I heard it, I was like, yeah, that's the right thing. Then like the sobering thought was like, okay, when is a good time to? Is there ever going to be a time where it's not? We don't have to do that anymore,
right?
You know, so you're taking a knee for the injustice of, you know, people of color, especially like police brutality and all that, and just like their lives and all that. But then, at what point, it's so dark to like think about like, all right, so if like the percentage goes to half, do we stop taking these? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because there's still people that are gonna be suffering. There's always gonna be, life is suffering. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, the sobering thought was like, there is no end to that.
Right.
And it's like, dang.
Yeah, that's kind of like what I feel about the news right now.
Yeah,
like,
it never ends.
That's why I like kind of had to step away.
Yeah, same
that like self-care, just like, that is not what I believe in. Like, I don't even respect that. Like, that makes me feel so embarrassed and weird, and like, I don't know what is happening.
You know what's crazy? What I was just thinking about like this week. So Donald Trump, he's going on. It's literally been like 2 years now. Yeah. And
we're halfway there.
But then, remember that point in time when we were like, all right, let's get him impeached. Like, let's get this out of here. Let's get him out of here as soon as possible. And then I think like probably like 8 months in, I was like, oh fuck, we're not gonna be able to impeach this dude, man. Like, there's no way we're gonna get him out.
Even with the whole Russia shit, I'm just like the receipts are
there. Exactly, the receipts are there. Like, everything you need to know is there. But somehow he finagles his way out of the whole situation. Yeah. And then the midterm stuff is coming up. Like, the midterm reviews are coming up. And then my biggest fear at this point is gonna be, what if we're economically we're just better? Like, from when he started and everything's just good. Like, he has receipts that he's been doing a good job, and then we're just fucked. We're like, oh. Yeah. It's such a huge blow that I can't believe in somebody that's just that morally irreputable, you know? Yeah. Like, he's just, I don't know, man. He's like a boss, you know, of a corporation. Yeah. He's not a president to me. Like, you have to have some kind of moral compass. Or is he, I mean, maybe not all, I'm pretty sure a majority of them didn't, but I guess there's something to the illusion. I don't know, man. It just so
wasn't as blatant in our face. Yeah. At least back then, the presidents had the decency to not be such fucking assholes, so blatantly. And the fact that he just tweets,
just crazy,
who no one ever has done that.
He's not well, man. He's a maniacal creature. And Yeah, I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Yeah, let's not. That's like another thing too. That like when people were making Trump art, you know, like because people were mad and people like post Trump everywhere, and it's like, granted, he has a bruised face. Granted, he's in drag, and they're like satiring him. Granted, he's like bloody and hanging or something. Like he's dead in these photos, but at the same time, it's like. Like I need to stop seeing his face.
I know it's wearing down on the subconscious, and
that's trauma, dude.
Yeah,
that's trauma. Like we're being traumatized every time.
I can't imagine like children growing up in this era right now. Like say like 4th grade, when you start like kind of, because I remember when I was in 3rd or 4th grade. I think I was in 3rd grade. Mm-hmm. Bill Clinton was in office, and man, so,
like doesn't he seem like such a chill dude?
Yeah. And then this is how much of a chill dude I thought he was, right? So like I didn't know, when you're in 3rd grade, you're not very privy to like all the sexual terms and stuff. Right. So like this is when the scandal was going on, and there's this kid in our class named Kyle Leidig. Like white, blonde hair, blue-eyed kid, and I was like, well, that's a whole different discussion. But he was just like this white kid. Mm-hmm. But he was like, because he looked like that, I already knew he had like the confidence to talk about like just random shit in class and not like get in trouble.
Yeah. So
like we were like, it was like one of those like events where like you go to different classrooms and learn about like different cultures and stuff. I don't know if you did that in elementary school or not.
Yeah.
It's like world
like a
day.
tour around the world.
Yeah, you had different foods and stuff. Mm-hmm. And Kyle Leidig, he said something about like, he made a joke about Monica Lewinsky, way ahead of his time, that Kyle Leidig guy. And then right when he said it, the teacher was like, "What?" She got mad and was like threatening him to go to the principal's office or whatever. And I went to a Christian elementary school, so it was like a private, like everything was just real uptight. Yeah. And then I was like wondering, I was like, what happened? Like why did he get in so much trouble just for talking about the president and this Lewinsky person that keeps on coming up in the news?
Brad, Lewinsky Brad.
Yeah, maybe that's where I learned that whole term, right? And so like later, I think someone like told me that day, and it's like, oh, you know, he had like some sexual stuff going on, and I was like, oh, that's it? like what? People are that pissed off with the president because he was being like a human or whatever? You know, in retrospect, it's like it's an abuse of power, kind of. Right. Not even kind of, but it is. Yeah. But I don't know. It just speaks to like what I thought was bad and what wasn't at that time. And then like you fast forward till now, and like the president is doing this, that, and the third, probably even worse. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And people are still riding with them and stuff. Like back then, it was just such like it was so like they almost impeached him because of that.
Well, wasn't he a Democrat?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, and I'm in a private school, right? So, yeah. So it was just like it's just interesting. Like where we are now, where like the standard is so low now, and and then it's like you ask the question is like, do I feel more comfortable being lied to? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Does that put me at ease? I think.
But then that's also like, why do I need to be lied to? Like, what is really going on? Like what's if really it already sounds really fucked up and this is a lie, like, what's the fucking truth?
Yeah. All right.
That we can save ourselves.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah.
Let's move on to So how was your day?
Oh man, my day was okay.
It was okay.
Yeah.
Did you talk to anybody at work today? Were you docenting?
No, I wasn't. I was selling tickets today.
How was that? The people that sell tickets are pretty chipper too. Like they're pretty nice.
Yeah, they're pretty nice.
Yeah.
It's just like, to me at least, like I'm always observing body language and stuff. And so there are some people that like totally disregard other human beings. And like to me, we're considered like frontline staff. Like as far as like the museum, they consider, that's what they call us, like frontline
staff. Is
this
like a battlefield or what?
Exactly. It's like, damn, you know, like
the
fucking
yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, it's like fucking pulling out my sword and like, don't you dare get close to this Pollock bitch. I'll like cut you.
I was just looking at the Pollock the other day. It's like, wow, here's a lot that goes on to this. And stuff.
Yeah, and so like, they call us friendly stuff, and so sometimes people just ignore you.
Yeah. Wow.
You know?
That's funny.
And it's like, is that like, am I taking it too personal? Like, that I'm like right here, and they literally don't even acknowledge my presence at all.
It's so crazy how like we as humans, once we are in a position to be served, the person that's serving us becomes inhuman. Like it's so, like in a restaurant or something, like how waiter or waitress, like people all of a sudden get the courage to be able to yell at them or something, you know, or even in the car, you know. It's just interesting. I don't know why we do that kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah, it's like, again, that human nature, like, complex, I guess, like.
Or like even at like the bar or something, it's just like, when your bartender's not paying attention, you get pissed off or something. It's like, everybody got something going on, man.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm like, fuck. Like every day I have to like really check myself and be like, don't take it personal. Because sometimes I'll like get so bummed out. Like that people are just so rude, or like a woman threw her credit card at me and is like not even listening to what I'm...
Someone threw their credit card at you?
People do that, yeah. They'll like just throw their cash at you. Like why did they ever get
that escalated?
It's not even an escalated thing. It's just like that's how they interact with people.
Like, here, take this.
Literally.
Take it all. Do what you need to do.
Literally, people have said that. Like, take it. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, sometimes I literally will just, like, stare at someone because they'll just, like, walk up to me. And I'm like, you know, what do you want? like, I'm just like, are you going to say anything to me? Like, I'm not... Hi?
Man.
Like, it's really weird. So that aspect of my job is, like, I do a lot of, like, research on that, you know, like people and interactions and people reacting to sculpture and people reacting to their environments and space and stuff. And I kind of like incorporate that into my work too sometimes with like, how can I incorporate like this gesture that I saw and kind of like embody that and fit it into my work.
Yeah, that's interesting because it's like you're never out of inspiration, really, because you're surrounded by everything that inspires you, kind of.
Right, and like the whole world kind of inspires me.
Yeah, you're just very sensitive. That's very cool.
Yeah, so, which I think is like good. People have such a negative connotation about being sensitive.
No.
But it's like,
I wish I was
just
more
you have
sensitive.
To be like, your senses have to be heightened, you know? Like,
it's so important.
Yeah, like sometimes just focusing on like listening. Sometimes just focusing on like seeing. Or like sensing things on like your skin and how your body like actually feels in space, you know? It's pretty crazy once you start like really like isolating and becoming more sensitive.
What are you drawn to right now into creating?
Lately, it's been a lot of like family history, like more documentation style.
Are you trying to go back in time and seeing like where you come from? I mean, I'm sure you know where you come from, but like just doing it, you don't?
I don't know like my ancestry. I just know like my parents were born in Mexico.
Okay.
And like their parents were born in Mexico. I think it's like very like word of mouth history.
Yeah. So do you ask them stuff, or growing up were you inquisitive in that way, where you were like, hey mom, like why do we speak the language we speak? Do you speak Spanish?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Spanish was my first language.
Really? That's cool.
Yeah. And then I learned English watching like Sesame Street.
Really?
And like I went to preschool.
Yeah.
But it was mostly through like watching PBS that I learned English.
Man, as a child, your brain is so like ready.
Yeah.
It takes in everything so quickly, and it just like snaps it in place where it needs to be.
Yeah, it's tight.
I wish it was still like that. Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah. It's okay.
So
we do what we can.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I never really asked a lot of questions because like my mom was working a lot, my dad was working a lot.
Yeah, were you a daycare kid?
Yeah.
Same here.
I was mostly like either with my mom's friend, like just watching TV.
Yeah. A lot of babysitters?
Yeah, a lot of babysitters type of
That's
thing.
funny. I did too.
Yeah, so like I never had time.
Babysitters were like the one that I really remember were Latino.
Were they like your mom's friends?
I don't even know how my mom knew these people, honestly. It was just like, oh, we're going here now. So you had that.
Yeah.
A lot too.
Yeah.
You had like one babysitter the whole time, or you could bounce around?
Yeah, it was mostly one babysitter, and she's my godmother now. But I didn't really like her, and I remember as a child.
You guys were beefing?
Well, it was because she was so like strict. Now I get it because now I have more context and like into her life. But like when I was younger, I used to be like, dude, like she's so mean. She would just make me like sit there. I couldn't really move from like the couch. I would literally be only able to sit there, watch novelas, and then like if I needed to use the restroom, like that's the only time I could get up or to like eat. So I remember like not having fun at all, and like if I even tried to do anything, it would just be like a hard grasp on my like arm and like sat me back down, and so
it was. So what made that okay though? Like now? Well,
because like her husband was like abusive, and so she was really depressed, and like she had epilepsy and stuff, and like she just had a lot of like mental things going on.
So a lot of stuff that was out of her control.
Yeah, like a lot. And so I always thought like she's just so angry and so like you know, she's so mean all the time, and it's just like she literally
people be going through shit, man. And just because it gets back to that, like everybody's going through their own little hell in their head. At some point, they're just trying to make the best out of it in a way, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Like everybody, and that's why I think it's like kind of important to acknowledge people. Like a smile kind of goes a long way. And like I don't know what can happen to people. Like I remember there was a security guard at Mocha, Cooper, rest in peace, man. But like I remember like I used to like not even really care to talk to him, and like sometimes he would just talk about sports and just like I'd be like, Cooper, I'm trying to do my job, bro. Like, I don't know anything about sports. Like, I can't, you know, like, stop. I don't know. And then, like, he got really sick. And then, like, all of a sudden, he, like, passed. But then he, like, went to go visit us, like, maybe, like, 2 weeks before he passed away. And he looked so, like, sick and, like...
You're literally just seeing him, like, become...
Death, like
man.
Literally, and it literally really fucked me up because I was like, damn, you know, like now I miss and reminisce on like him bugging me about like the Lions and like the games and the Lakers and Kobe and like him just telling me that I look like the love of his life.
Really?
Like,
did he have a crush on you?
Well, he was like, you look like the first time I met him, he was like, wow.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Like, what the fuck? This is kind of weird. Like, okay, can you stop? And then he was like, no, like, I don't mean to be weird, but you literally look like the girl that was like my first love. Yeah. And it was like a total like childhood thing where they like were neighbors and they grew up.
Girl next door type stuff.
Yeah. And he was like, damn, and I don't know what happened to her, and you just remind me of her, and you have that glow, and like, and I was like, Cooper, okay, you're making me feel kind of weird.
Why did you feel weird about that?
Because he was like, I felt like he was looking at me in like a certain gaze.
Oh, okay.
You know, and I was like, I don't know how to like really
tone that down, buddy.
Yeah, like I don't know how to like navigate through that, you know? Like
I'm sure he's listening now. It's like, I don't know what I was talking about.
Literally like but yeah, like, you know, sometimes he would say some stuff, but then it was like, you know, now he's gone, and like, you know, he was the person to acknowledge everybody.
That's cool.
You know, and like even the rich white people that didn't acknowledge him, he'd be like, hi, ma'am.
Yeah.
Hello, you looking for something? Like, or he'll just like do something where he was like, you will acknowledge me, you know? And
is that what you learned from him?
Yeah.
So like, just the acknowledgement of people, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And like, he'd always be like busted, you know, like he had a really bad sciatica, and like,
what's that?
Sciatica is like you get a really bad kind of like the tailbone kind of part of your back. It starts kind of like wearing out like that back bottom bone, so if you stand a lot.
Vertebrae and stuff?
Yeah, like the very bottom vertebrae.
Oh, wow.
So it's like all the way at the bottom, and
he was standing all the time.
Yeah, and he was like big guy, big Cooper, and so like he'd still be like out here, you know, like I don't know, smiling and just, you know, making light of like his suffering. Yeah. And like another thing too would be that he still had his mom's phone, and she had passed like few years. And he would still charge her phone, and like still had it on and stuff, you know? And like one time, like without even knowing, I was like, damn, Cooper, what's up? You're making me charge your burner phone? And he's like, it's not a burner phone.
It's my mom's.
He didn't even say that. He was just like, he's like, one day he's like, ask around and maybe someone will tell you if they know. Yeah. And I was like, okay, damn, it's like that. And then like when I found out, I felt so stupid. I was like, wow, like here I am being like a dickhead.
Maybe he wanted to save you with that embarrassment. I think, you know?
Totally.
He sounds like a giving guy.
Yeah, he was like totally impacted so many people, and like when he passed, like you could, like everybody, you know, like came through and was just like, you know, damn.
Yeah, it kind of reminds you of your mortality in a way. You know. But like there's something to learn from everybody, you know.
Right.
And I think that's why we're here. Like literally, like that's why I kind of wanted to talk to you. And you know, everybody has like their own story or whatever. Like everybody has something that should be spoken upon. You know what I'm saying? So even my man Cooper, man, you know, like, and we can all learn from that kind of stuff. You know, I don't know. We got to do a better job of being more sensitive to that stuff.
Yeah, totally. And like when people are really trying to reach out, you know, it's like now I feel like everybody thinks like everybody's got like other intentions, which I'm guilty of. I feel like everybody's always got some like secondary, like
ulterior motives, and like what are you gonna do for me?
Yeah, and I'm like,
culture.
I don't know, like. my mom always told me, like, do things for the, from the grace of your heart.
Yeah.
And, don't expect anything. And, so, like, when growing up and then, like, boys and, like, all this shit. And then also, like, having to relearn a lot of things in academia. What?
Household boys. You're not going to just slip that one past. Like why was that the first example?
Oh, pues, because, like, when you're growing up, and then you learn, like, in your stupid little high school crushes or, like, elementary.
Boys aren't meeting you just because.
Yeah, like, boys will like you one day and then they don't like you the next day. Or even girls, we all go through our little, like...
There used to be, like, a point in time where I was very self-conscious, like, with like, girls. Because there was a point in time, like, in like, junior high school, you can be with your girl, and then, like, a week later, she was like, I'm just not feeling it anymore. You know what I'm saying?
That's me.
So, like, there was almost, like, for me, I always felt there was almost, like, a sense of, like, all right, so this week, how we going to entertain? Like, how we going to keep it alive? It was so, like, you look back at it now and just like, man, that's no way to live.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not looking for love in those situations. You're just trying to deal with their hormones, really.
Yeah.
But, man, imagine if, like, you was with somebody and they, well, I mean, it's I bet you it still happens now. You know what I'm saying? Where it's just like, you're with somebody for 3 years and then, like, tomorrow it's like, you know what? I don't know anymore,
Yeah, and, my mom would always be like, yeah, you can totally fall out of love and that's totally real.
Yeah.
And that always just, like, scared me.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck? Like, what do you mean, you know? And, like...
What does that mean to you now? Like, can you make sense of that advice that she was giving you?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like... I'm still kind of, like, grasping with that.
Yeah.
But, like, up until, like, I mean, I've been kind of, like, without, like, a official boyfriend or something, like, for a long time. Like, high school was the last time.
Mm-hmm.
And,
that's something serious.
Yeah, and, like, I always thought, like, I don't want to be with a guy or a person because, like, they're going to make me feel like shit all the time. And, like, I'm going to feel stuck. And then it was just like, whoa, reevaluate, girl. Like, not everybody's like that, Obviously, you were in a toxic environment.
Yeah.
And then it became a thing where I was kind of like almost obsessing, but also kind of like trying not to obsess about, like, okay, well, what are some things that I could have done better?
Yeah.
And what are some things that I want that to be better?
You were learning a lot about yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, relationships do that. They're another great teacher in life. You know? You. If I was gonna like describe you, I have no clue how you are in a relationship. You're like nervous. Like, what are you?
I'm like, now I'm nervous. This is the question I didn't want.
No, it's fine. I think, but yeah, I think you seem like you're a very passionate, like, lover. You know what I'm saying? Like, you seem like you in a relationship you're kind of all in. You know what I'm saying? So, but then that was what I thought before. Like, even this whole right now. But then you said something about like just right now you were just like, oh, you would, like, the next day you'd be over it. So I'm like, oh, I might be wrong here. And maybe you just like you're the Heartbreak Hotel, So how would you describe yourself, like, in those environments, especially like now since you've learned so much about you?
Well, like, okay, I've just recently, too, got out of, like, a partnership where that was totally different, where it was, like, with this person that I had, like, a really intimate relationship with, but it was never anything, like, oh, you're my girlfriend, you're my boyfriend. But it was still like, I fuck with you, you fuck with me. Yeah, like we mean something, you know, we've been there for each other through like crazy shit. And, you know, I thought it was really cool and I thought we trusted each other and I thought there was communication. And then it was like, nah.
On whose part? Yours?
Like, it was kind of like him kind of blocking himself off in like from my point of view. Yeah. And then him blocking himself off made me want to like figure out what was happening.
You were trying.
So I was trying so hard and
you get obsessed with the project.
I was obsessed. I was obsessed.
Trying to fix it. Yeah.
And I was like feeling hella self-conscious because I was like, what am I doing that is pushing him away? You know, and just like obsessing, like to the point where it was like really crippling. And towards the end of it, it was just toxic. Like it would be like a lot of like verbal abuse and just kind of like exploding because it'd be like lack of communication. And then when there'd be communication, it'd just be like headbutting. And it was like because he was already out of it. And I was like trying to figure out why. And until one day it was just like blatant in my face and this dude like brought his new girl to my fundraiser. Like,
wait. To your joint.
Yeah, that was at his house, but it was like my friend's, like she owns the house, but he rented a room there. And so she was dancing, you know, we're in the same dance thing. So we had a whole night of like work to fundraise.
So you and the girl
I knew her because like I knew her through like mutual friends and stuff, and like she knew all my work. She invited her friends and was like talking to her friends about my work, and then was like, oh yeah, she shot the photos. And then like I was like, you know, catering to her and just being like, yo, you want some water? Like, you good? You chill? And then all of a sudden I'm performing and I see her like grazing his like leg. And they're sitting kind of like right in front of me, and I'm like, I can't like look at that.
Did it take you out of the moment?
It kind of like fueled the moment a little bit more because it was like a very dramatic, trauma-based piece. So I was like, what am I looking at? Like, oh my god. And then so and then I kind of like tried to talk to him because I got pretty lit that night, and I was like.
All the emotions came out?
Yeah, all the emotions came out, and I was just like trying to talk to him, and I went to his room, and the door was locked. And
so you guys lived together? No?
We didn't live together, but it was like we would hang out almost every single day, like all day. And he lived with my best friend, so it was like I would always be there.
It just sounds really messy.
It was really messy.
Is this like is every like your best friend? Is everybody cool? Is everyone okay? That's what I want to know. Oh no, I don't like that prom right there.
Like I'm still like processing.
Got you.
Like up until maybe like a month or two ago was when I was like, this happened like a year and a half ago. And at that point, like, I mean, I was already hitting bottom because I was spiraling because I was like so in that. And I'm obsessing over that person.
Because of what? Like the whole conundrum of like what was going on.
Yeah, because it was like, that's what was happening. Like it all like manifested itself in a really terrible way. And I didn't want to like acknowledge it until it was there, right there. Which is like, that's how I learned.
So what's the greatest lesson you learned from that, I guess?
The greatest lesson that I learned from that was that I need to love myself more. And that I really need to like make sure, like this sounds so selfish, but like that I'm being taken care of in the sense of like, me putting myself first. And also really communicating and really taking care of someone else's mental health. You know, there would be moments where like I'd be like, dude, you make me feel so insecure. And he'd be like, you're fucking dumb. Like, why do you feel that way? And it's like, you don't need to tell me that I'm fucking dumb. Like, because I feel that way. It's like, you know, you call me out in front of my friends, like, for no reason.
You know what? You know, and going back to like the whole masculinity thing, is just that stuff. That's where that shit is so bad.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because as men, we've gotten to a point where we're just so numb.
Yeah.
To those emotions, and you guys are so great because you're prone to feeling it all. You know what I'm saying? So, like, even when I talk to my lady now, it's like there's sometimes, like, I'm learning still too. It's just like, at first when we first started dating, I thought, you know, I'd be like, yo, you kind of sensitive. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't need to like gripe over something like that. But now it's just like, teach me. You know what I mean? Like, just like, let me know. I want to be just as sensitive as you are. And that's such like such an uphill battle because we're so conditioned as men. So, I mean, I'm not making an excuse for them at all. I think, you know, when you catch people at a certain time, depending on where they're at in life, just, I don't know where they are in that learning process, or if he's even trying to learn that at all, you know? So, because some people are just like, nah, this is how it is, and, you know, and majority of those people voted for Trump, but we're not gonna go back to it. But yeah, I mean, you just never know where someone is on that spectrum.
Right. Totally.
But yeah, and so, like, that's not the way to address something. Like, if you're in a vulnerable moment where you're just like, that made me feel this way. Obviously, it's not the right way to handle that. His reaction. Hopefully, he you know, he's learned too. You know.
I hope. Yeah. But I don't think so. He literally was like trying to. Yeah, I'm not even gonna go into that. But like, he hasn't learned. Let's just say that. And like, which really put things into perspective. Where I'm just like, damn, I really got myself out of this fucked up hole, like where I was in the trenches, and like I was trying so hard to call at you, and you were just like left me for dead. That's chill. And now I'm like out of it, and I'm like in a whole other place, and I'm like glowing up, and I'm doing me, and now you want to like come back. That really taught me in the sense of like, you know, you have to be strong for yourself. And like, you just can't like, I mean, people are in a different headspace, and you can't take it personal. And sometimes there are much darker things that we can't even share with other people and that we hold on to. And we just can't let it go. But like, we need to learn how to let it go and really. I
think the only thing I disagree with is I think you can take it personal. You know, I think your emotions are very personal. You know what I'm saying? So when someone affects those, it's like, you know, you got to do some digging and see, should I be getting this personal on it?
Right.
Are they that important to me where I can get emotional about it, or, you know, and take it personal, and then from there, like, kind of decide. But it sounds like, I just think not taking it personal sometimes can be a coping mechanism, you know? Yeah. And instead of like seeing it as another learning experience where like, that really fucked me up, you know what I'm saying? And being like, knowing how to avoid those potholes, you know, and for the next person. And getting those tall tale signs on, like, all right, that's a red flag right there. Not that you're counting on someone like, oh, you did this on the 3rd of September, and
those people are crazy, because there are people like that are like, you know, you hurt me on this day.
I made note of it.
Like, what?
This is what I was feeling. I wrote it down, and here's my tear to prove it.
Here's the receipt.
But going back to like your mom's advice about like
you fall out of love.
What happens in your head when that happens, I guess, is in your head, what do you think the next step is when you fall out of love with somebody? Are you still trying to figure that out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah and no. Like, there's nothing you could do about it.
Yeah.
It's like totally out. And that's taught me to be like, you know, we're all individuals.
Yeah.
We're all like different.
Yeah.
And yeah, like sometimes it could be so good and great.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just circumstantially we might vibe and fuck with someone else a lot harder, and that's like a really hard pill to swallow. You know, sometimes when people have like 40 years worth of relationship and it's like, sorry, I just don't love you anymore. It's like,
where do we go from here? Like now we're both in this situation where it's like 40 years down the road. What's next? You know?
Yeah, like then it's like damn. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to do me. Yeah. But I think love is such like in a way, it's so specific but so ambiguous too. Yeah.
Because I think that it just has so many facets to it. So, you know, there's passion in love, there's obligation in love, there's suffering in love. There's so many things that clash with themselves and within love, you know. And so I was doing a lot of like searching for that last year, and just like just trying to make sense of where I was with my definition of love too, you know. And there was a point in time where it was just very dark. I was like, you know, love is nothing but suffering. And I don't think that, I think I was halfway right. I mean, today from my experiences. But I think what that was doing at that time was even within that, even though it is suffering, love is still there. You know what I'm saying? So there is something to grasp onto, and that's where it becomes an obligation. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't think the passion part of love lasts at all. You know what I'm saying? I think that leaves, but there's still love there, even when that leaves. Like it in a way, like love evolves. You know?
Yeah. And it's like a Pokemon.
Yeah, like you got little Squirtle, baby. And then Blastoise, you know, comes, and then and sometimes it can just hide away in a Pokeball, and then it's just nothing. There is no love there or something, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, but the obligation part is like a head decision. It's like a mental decision more than a feeling, you know.
I think the feeling, it just depends, man. Because like when you start getting into like cognitive thinking and like just cognitive science and like how people experience sensations, you know, and like people say, you know, love and fear is like on a frequency base. And then like, you know, people that have different sensory kind of like experiences, like people like with autism or any other kind of like mental, like different perspectives and perceptions of things. It's like, you know, they totally absorb information totally different. Yeah. And so like, is love like more of a product of our environment and like that? Or is it something more felt? And if it is, like, how do we feel it? And how do we, like, pinpoint what the feeling is supposed to be? You know, like, but like you said, it's something so, like,
so big,
so ambiguous, something like so big and so small.
Yeah, it's so, exactly. Because I think it's like trying to understand God in a way. You know, and these are my upbringing. So it's like I'm already conditioned to like go into that like Christian faith and stuff. But I remember as a kid, I would always ask like, where does God even come from? You know what I'm saying? Like where, like how he's been here forever. Like I don't get it. I'm just running out of space. Let's hold that thought. All right, so what were we talking about? Love.
God.
Love and God. I don't know where we should take it from there. So maybe we can move on. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. So what were we talking about? What point was I making?
That we don't know where love, or like what love really is.
Oh yeah, it's so big. It's so big. Like it's like for me, it's like trying to define what God is. You know, and you just can't. I don't think anybody has the answer to that. You know what I mean? So I don't think anybody has like the actual answer to what love is either. Like in a way, love is God is love.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, people do say that.
Yeah, but it really, like you can, in a way, you can almost, because you can feel love, it's almost even more realer than, you know, the stereotypical God. You know what I'm saying? Because in a way, somehow we feel love, you know? I don't think it's tangible at all, but you feel it when you feel it, right?
Right.
So.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like that. I mean, growing up Catholic, my parents weren't like super strict, but I did the whole like process as far as like. Yeah. But I did it late in my life. Like I got baptized, like communion, Eucharist, and confirmation, and all that shit, like in one night.
You just did all in one night, man.
So I was feeling blessed. No, I'm just saying. But like leading up to that, like Sunday school and being really involved in the church was like, I could see why people really like devout themselves to the church. There's something about that order, that discipline.
I was just thinking, it just makes
sense.
It makes you like not question as much. You know what I'm saying? Like when you have something, I mean, that's what it does for me, at least. It's like, if I didn't believe in a God, I'd be crippled. Like I couldn't function as a person. Like I'd always be like, what does this even mean? Like what does this? I turn into like Nietzsche or something, where it's just like you're crippled from like your own questions or something. And in a way, it's kind of like Albert Camus, like he was this philosopher, and he kind of did the whole. He was like a forefather of like absurdism, and he was like, you know, believing in something like that is intellectual suicide. It's like believing in something that is you don't even really understand, like what you're believing in is like a cop out from living life. But yeah, I'm guilty as charged, man. I'm just more concerned with my mental health than like it's like a way of coping with what we have going on here, you know, because nobody really even knows.
And I've been also thinking about prayer a lot. Yeah. And what, like, there are times where I miss prayer, where I'm like, I kind of miss having that moment at night where I was like, I closed my eyes and I was reflecting on my day. Yeah. But it was like in a different context back then, where I was like trying to think of all the bad things I did, you know, throughout the day. And just being like, but then you reflect on the bad things you did, and you're like, you should kind of like repent or like really think about it. And like think about why it's bad and how you can really change your actions to make it better, and just be like a good person. Yeah. You know, and that's kind of like where my mom stood, because she was like, I don't need to go to church and like sob and like pound myself in the chest and be like, I believe in Christ, to really consider myself like a believer in God. She's like, I pray and I have this connection.
It's enough.
You know, like, it's cool. I talk to him throughout the day and I have a connection. You know, and I think, but then like when I remove the whole like God like subject, and just think about it in the sense of like, you know, checking in on yourself during the day, and just being like, you know, I don't know, like talking how you would to God. It's like totally a different perspective.
It is.
And I think I had this conversation with a friend about like how when you talk to God, you kind of censor yourself. There's like a sort of like talking in a different voice. Oh my God, I know we got into it like so hard. Like, you know, like you talk to yourself in a way of respect. You know? And like, but then when you're talking to yourself, not to God,
it's
you're
like,
talking shit. You're like
what the fuck was that?
Yeah, bro? Like being nasty. Like, we're filthy as fuck.
And I like recently I've been catching myself doing that. Like I just went through something where I was like there was a point in time where I was talking to God a lot, and it came to a point where it's like, I know he don't believe me when I'm talking to him, like in this tone. So I'm just like, I'm gonna talk to him like how I talk in my head. And because if you believe in that, like there is no bullshit in God. You know what I mean? Like theoretically he's like an all-knowing figure. So it's just like, why would you try to censor that? Like, he knows what he made. You know, he knows what he got into. But where are you at now? Like, what do you believe in? Or do you believe in anything? Or are you questioning more than you are believing?
I think I'm questioning a lot more, but I'm also like missing the that meditation. And I think that now it's like I have also the power and maybe like the knowledge of like being able to deconstruct and be like, it doesn't have to be like punishment. It doesn't have to be that I'm like immoral or like you know, like how Catholicism is like so like fucking like
that's what I was about to say.
What's that movie, The Passion of the Christ? Like so like just, fucking terrible and agonizing.
That's what I was about to
Fear
say.
of God, it's like so ugly. It's so like, again, like mind control shit.
That's what Catholicism is to me. And even like in the Protestant, like Christian church too. I mean, they're all the same thing. But I just don't think they age well. Like, like if you grow up in the Catholic church, you grow up in the Christian church, you kind of grow up and then you're like, man, I felt so bad about jerking off this whole time.
Oh my God. Dude, I remember like praying and being
like,
so sorry.
I know you're seeing this right now, but listen, I need to get it. But it's like
we know, right?
Come on, what's up?
Let's not fool ourselves.
Like
God, were you a teenager?
Come on.
Come on.
God was a teenager. He was blowing loads, man.
He's still blowing loads. How we get here?
Yeah, exactly. He let those seeds out, man. I don't know. It's just biology at the end of the day. It's gotta come out somehow, you know.
But totally. I don't know. God. I miss spirituality. I believe in God in the sense that I believe in like there's like this otherworldly type of thing.
There's something going on.
But it's more it's just like there's something going on.
You just can't pinpoint it. I don't think anybody can. Everybody, the people that like freak me out are the people that think they do. They can't pinpoint that.
Then that's when I think like, have you just experienced joy?
There's something. There's definitely something that happened. There's something that wells up in me. You know.
Because everybody has a different perspective of God.
And I think that's healthy.
How they perceive it to manifest itself. You know, like the white light, or like a man with a beard.
Yeah.
You know, it's like when people are doing drugs or something.
Yeah,
like the common, like, I was tripping acid and I saw God.
Yeah, but I think even that, like, points to something.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, the fact that everybody has, like, this notion that there is a thing that they connect with under those influences. I sound like a cop. Under those influences.
Shit, is that why we have a mic? Oh my God.
All the oxen free, guys. We got her. But yeah. How you feeling?
I'm okay. Promise I don't smoke weed. I promise I won't drive like an hour from now. Okay.
You're good. So what is something the world doesn't know about you but definitely should?
Oh my God. That I'm a freaking crazy little...
I'm hanging at the edge of my seat right now. What are you?
Like goofy girl. Like at the end of the day, I don't know. Like sometimes I try to like carry myself and like, you know, like maybe it's the weed that I'm like, okay, fuck, like I'm in a space and, you know, I have to be present and all this stuff. So I have to try to carry myself in like a, you know, professional type of way. But like in reality, like, I don't know, I feel really like goofy and kind of like a little kid most of the time. But like the observant little kid that's like just kind of like staring at everybody but has like a few friends who's a little mischievous.
Yeah. That's how you see yourself in the world.
Yeah, but people have said to me that they were intimidated to like come up and talk.
By you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I want to talk about.
Because like I have such a stern like face. Like my friend says I need to relax my face.
You have resting.
I have resting beach face. Yeah.
Really?
So that's what people say. So I'm like, oh shit.
You're always like, I mean, since you've been here, you've been smiling.
Yeah.
Maybe you haven't been resting or something. I wanted to talk about like the first time we met.
Oh my.
What do you remember?
I remember being at the press. Because I used to go there pretty often and like meet up with Aaron.
Yeah, Aaron's a homie, man. Shout out to Aaron. Shout out to Aaron. I hope he's watching this, man.
I know.
I hope he's living it up in New York.
Dude, supreme life. Yeah, we were at the press and I was with Aaron and I think he was
DJ? Yeah.
You were.
I was?
No, you were not actually. I think it was the... Was it Aaron? Yeah, it was Aaron. Yeah, he was. Yeah, we were like dancing.
Yeah.
And I think it was like not a lot of people were dancing and then we were dancing and then everybody started dancing.
We were the dance starters? I was dancing?
We were dance starters. Yeah.
Wow.
Because I think I said
strange.
something about your dancing.
Oh no, I remember now. No, I think I was like doing a vicious head bob or something. I think I was doing like, because that happens sometimes where
you're just so into beat.
And then I think you point and then when someone points out like, oh, you're moving a lot to this song, I freeze up and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Like I don't dance in public right now, right, like that. And I remember, and then you were like, we should go on the dance floor, and I was like, I don't think I can make that work, you know. And you kept saying it, and Yeah, and then I was like, no, I don't know how. That's why I always cop out to. I'm just like, I don't know how to. But you knew I was bullshitting the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I was telling you earlier, I was like, when we were getting your socials, when we were like exchange, I think did we get each other's like Instagrams first, or like we go straight to the digits? Derek is playing all the tunes. It's nice. It's nice. It's like a little soundtrack to the whole conversation.
It is, and it's tricky when you're looking at the lights.
Right here, right?
Yeah, it's like these little, for all those that can't see it, they're like these stringing lights on the ceiling.
Yeah.
And they blink like little cells.
Little cells.
It looks like those like old school science, like biology, like how the stars work.
Yeah.
Dust, cells.
And they move to their own frequency.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
You know, like traveling. But what were you talking about?
I was trying to get to your to your name and how like it was funny because I know we were typing in the socials and then you were like, all right, Ben.
No, yeah, it was Crazy Noodle Tie, and then you were like, oh, is this it? Bend me over.
yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, that was great.
Funny thing about that is that...
Where did that come from? Ben?
The Ben, it was a series of names. Growing up, I had a best friend named Brenda.
Uh-huh.
And so
Okay.
And I'm not talking about myself, I was on my own best friend.
Uh-huh. You got imaginary friends.
And she was so cool, I named her the same name as me. No. We met in middle school, and it was one of those like, what, your name is Brenda? And we kind of like just hit it off. And, which doesn't always happen with every Brenda.
Yeah.
And,
what kind of Brendas do you run into? Like, what are Brendas usually like?
No comment. Just for the sake of Brenda. Spare name. So like we hated calling each other by our names, so it was Brenda, then Brenna.
Okay.
Then Bren. Then Ben, yeah. And Ben just kind of like stuck. And people that were like, you know, true homies, like close homies, they call me Ben. Or
really?
In high school, it was like especially a thing. But
so you actually went by Ben?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like I still kind of go by it.
Yeah.
Like I'll order food and I'll say my name is Ben. Because it's also kind of like, it trips people out. And they're like, so it's just kind of stupid.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and then I'm a punny person.
Yeah.
So bending me over is like...
It fit.
It fit.
There you go.
Yeah. And there was like, I was in this show recently, and this magazine, Ultra, covered it. And they're like a prestigious like art publication. I don't... Shout out to Ultra. I mean, I don't even like... I didn't even know them.
Yeah. We got put on game.
We got put on game, and then they're talking about the artist, and then they're like, bend me over. And
that's what you're rolling with now?
Yeah, I'm like, is this my baptism? Like, is this what I'm now introduced as? Like, bend me over?
Bend me over is funny, man. I chuckle still from that thing. It's so good.
Yeah, it's very subtle.
Yeah, it's just like,
Yeah, because people don't get it, because then they're always quick to the bend.
Yeah.
And then they pronounce like the me over different ways sometimes. And it'll take them a while, and then it's just like, oh my god. And it's like, yeah, hi, nice to meet you. But it was just funny in the time where it was like that magazine cover did, because it was like, yo, there was a press release with my official name.
Yeah. So you dance. That sounds different. What would you describe like the way you dance?
Well,
what would you call it? Like, because the way I said it, you sound like a stripper.
Oh, see, okay, that's a whole other thing too, where it's like they're dancers too.
Yeah,
they're not just strippers, and like people will be like strippers, and I'm like dancers.
Got you.
But then also, there's like this hierarchy of like titles and what is in a name, and like, a ballet dancer versus a hip hop dancer, and what does that mean, and street styles, and what's on stage and what isn't.
So what would you be? Shout out to dancers. I think the poles there's a lot of
so much strength
that goes in that I do not have.
Yeah, there's like strength, acrobatics, like I've been seeing all this, like especially like strip club life, like and like the acrobatics, and like I have talked to like a few dancers, performers about it, and like their experience and stuff, and like girls that will literally not be acrobatic, like just bouncing around looking cute, like will get hella tips.
And some of them
are like,
some of them take it serious.
Flips, and they're like,
they're doing
crazy shit.
They're risking their life on that pole.
Right. And it's unappreciated. Unappreciated.
No, it's an art form too.
Totally. Yeah, it's crazy. There's like all these dynamics, like power dynamics, and like a woman really feeling empowered by her body at that point.
Absolutely.
And like, it is work, and like sex work is hard work.
Absolutely. And it's so scrutinized, especially by the government. It's terrible because
they can't control it, they can't regulate it.
They've been trying to regulate this whole time, and they're like,
because then that would fuck up their game too, because they're nasty.
Exactly. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to get to take it apart.
Anyways,
but sex work is needed. Like, just think about like, just think about like, all right, I'm gonna get them with their own poison, right? So like, think about like the war veteran coming home, lost 2 legs, can't get around, but needs to get that nut off, man. Like, I mean that's a way where sex work can also be altruistic. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just saying it's so, sex is vital. It's like we're one of the only like beings, like one of the only creatures that enjoy sex, and to have like laws to ban it and to prevent it from happening is crazy to me. But shout out to people in the sex work industry. Because I think they're needed.
Yeah, they do a great service.
Exactly.
And they should have more respect.
Exactly.
And they should have more protection and more like resources where they can go to in that field.
Right. I think it stems from like, people that make those, it comes from like a hate from that.
Male dominated.
Yeah, and it comes from like a hate for themselves in a way. It's like the same energy that told you not to like masturbate is the same energy that's like sex work should be banned type shit. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing.
Ignorance.
It is. But yeah, I mean, so like you're very. But one thing I do have noticed about you, especially like on like social media and stuff, is like you have a very strong, like, like sexual energy, but also like very female driven sexual energy, if that makes any sense. You know what I'm saying? It's in a way. Here's what it is. It's like it makes you accept the female for everything. You know, like every aspect of the female, not the objectified, like I gotta be like this is what's sexy, you know what I'm saying? But like the fact that you are female is sexy enough, you know what I'm saying? And right. that's what it comes off as, you know, to me at least.
Shout out to all my girls out there. I mean, yeah, I think it comes from my mom mostly. Yeah, like she was always just that type of person. She would always get like mad at me for wanting to like shave my legs or like.
Also, your mom's a very strong woman too.
Yeah.
I mean, not that women aren't strong, but like her personality is very strong too.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is it.
Yeah, for sure. And she was like, you know, very like minimal on trying to look like something that I'm not, you know, like, or at least I should say she was very big on enforcing that.
Yeah.
Because I remember, you know, just being a teenager and just being like, Mom, I want to wear makeup.
Yeah.
Mom, I want to do this. I want to, you know, I'm not pretty enough. I'm not this enough. And like, I'm fat and all this stuff. And she'd just be like, I love you. Like, look at you. Like, you're so beautiful. Like, stop.
Yeah.
And so,
that's great.
yeah. And so, like, I didn't understand how lucky I was to really have someone really see me for who I was. Because then, like, I had friends growing up, like, later on who would, like, tell me stories about their mom and, like, how it was totally not like that. And their moms would be the ones that would instigate their insecurities.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm, like, just, like, how much, like, hate between women exists sometimes. Like, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
And, so I think that that's just kind of, like, where it comes from. Because my mom was just always, like, you're beautiful how you are, like, you don't need a man, you don't need this, you don't need that, do you? And, like,
no, that's so vital. I think, that's so vital. It like, hurts to hear that it's not that way everywhere.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure.
Shout out to Mama Brenda.
Manuela! Yeah.
No, that's very beautiful.
Yeah, so I think that that's kind of, like where it stemmed. And then through dance and like learning about bodies.
I love dance for that reason. Like, no, dance is something like really into like experimental film too. And I just love how dance incorporates into that. So like, you know, like my dance, early work and stuff is just like the body can emote so much, you know, just through movements and stuff. And so that's why I keep kicking myself that I haven't been to one of your shows, because I really think they're just from like the little clips I've seen. There's a lot of, I know I'd be inspired a lot from it, you know, just from what you guys are performing or presenting. I think there's a lot that's in it, and just the way the body moves and stuff. And so I need to really get out to one of you. You said you're taking a break for a little bit though, right?
Yeah, I'm on a little bit of a break, but I mean, I don't know, like when a project or something comes up, like I'm down to just go out there and just do something. If someone's like, yo, I got a thing tomorrow, like, you down?
Oh, okay.
Sure. I'm like, sure.
Okay.
I you know, like
noted.
Yeah, because like I never stop thinking. I never I can't stop. Once I can't like turn my glasses on.
How does that translate though? So I mean, you don't have to tell us your whole process or anything.
Just kidding. You are a nerd, bro. Just kidding. No, like I mean, like I said, I find inspiration in everything.
Right. Yeah.
And when something is really challenging me, and like I try to question that.
Yeah, you dive deeper.
Yeah, like why do I feel so bad about this? Yeah. Where does that bad come from? And like what kind of movement does like what does it feel like? Yeah,
and you go back. Oh, that's where it helps out that you're the observer child that you are. You know? Yeah. That's where honestly that's where it, I think there's a childlike spirit that needs to remain.
Totally.
In everyone, especially for an artist like yourself, it's so important.
Yeah, it's the vulnerability that kind of letting go of granted it's hard sometimes, but just kind of like letting go and like really just kind of blindly trusting and just being like, it's gonna be cool. Yeah. Letting go of like these like external things and like sometimes it could be really, really hard to dwell back into trauma, like go back and like try to feel and like reconnect these dots or these burned bridges or whatever. Like it's fucked up. Yeah. There's like a lot that goes behind the process that's really painful, but the beautiful part is being able to like truthfully share that in front of a person or multiple people and just know that you were being true as fuck and that
it's honest.
Yeah, you know it's genuine. Honest.
It's coming. You know exactly where it's sourced from and where it's coming from.
And like you're just like in that meditative process, and like you come out of it kind of dazed. Like there have been moments where like I can't even talk to anybody because I'm just like so in a headspace. And people will be so moved by it and stuff, and they're like, "Damn, that was so real." Yeah,
it's almost like you're in a trance. You know?
It is. It really is, because it's like I'm not gonna like try to fake it and be like some like two-dimensional marionette doll. Like no, I'm gonna like show you what I mean. And like the last show I did was about my mom. Oh, wow. And my parents came, and they wanted to come, and it was like kind of intimidating because they'd never asked me.
Oh, okay.
I would always be like, "Hey, I'm performing. Like, come and see me. Come, please, please, please."
So they made it a point to say, "When are you performing, or what? Can we come?" type of thing. Or?
Yeah, because like I told my mom like casually, like the last two projects were like kind of loosely based on my mom. Yeah. And so. I was like interviewing her and like doing all this stuff, and she's like, "Well, why are you doing this?" And I told her like, "Well, I want to, I want to collaborate with you on this project, and I think it's important that you like people hear your story and your voice and like blah blah blah." And then my dad then later was like, "Oh, I heard you're having a show. Like, work, like give us the address and give us the deets." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." Like all of a sudden, like that's so weird. And I'm like, he's like, "What? You're embarrassed?" And I'm like, "No." It's like, "You'll be embarrassed of me," And it was just like this really weird thing. And my parents showed up. They were like the first people to show up to the gallery. And I'm just like, "Bro, I'm trying to go smoke right now. Like, come on, I just finished setting up. Stressed out as fuck, nervous." And then, because that was the first time my parents were gonna see me perform. And so then, the performance happens and all this shit. And I'm like lying down on the ground with like a full body of chains, like strapped onto like a TV. And
your mom already knows, like,
and
this might be
like about to clap, and I literally go up there and I'm like, "Stop clapping! Don't you dare clap at me!" And then she was like, why can't I clap? And I'm like, it's art, Mom.
No.
It's art. She's like, oh, okay. And then my dad was like, wow, that was really real. And that was like the only thing he said. And I never, like, even to this day, like, asked him, like, yo, like, what did you think? Like, how did you process that? Like, nothing. It was just...
Why don't you think you asked him that? Like...
It's something that I don't think I'm ready to, like...
Same here, yeah.
Like, here.
Yeah, it's almost to protect them, in a way.
It's protecting myself. I feel like...
Go for it.
I don't want to hear what they... Like, it's sad, I think, to me. Like, I've been, like, kind of thinking about that, too. Like, why don't I ask them? What am I so afraid of hearing?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's not like they're going to be super critical.
Yeah.
And if they are, it's like, ugh, it's expected. They're your parents.
Yeah.
So I don't know why I was just like, oh my God, thanks.
Yeah. I think, I feel you on that. Because, like, with when I do, like, solo projects for music and stuff, I usually have, like, certain themes that go with them and stuff. So, like, this last project I put out, it's called Love and Death, first of all. And my mom, I tell my mom the name of it, she's like, yeah, I'm only listening to the love side. I'm like, Mom, you got it, like, but then she listens to both sides. And then, you know, ideas start happening. She tells me, like, you know, it's very deep. Same thing with my dad. This is like the first project my dad, like, asked me, hey, what did you mean by this? And that was a weird question. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of weird explaining yourself to your parents in that way.
Yeah, totally.
For something that meant so much to you, or you just meditated on for so long, and to give like a cookie cutter answer,
right,
or a 30-second answer, it's a discussion that needs to happen. You know?
Yeah.
And it's weird because the real question I wanted to ask is, don't ask me what I meant by it. It's more, how did you feel about it? You know what I'm saying? Like, what? And I couldn't ask them that. You know, it like, I thought about it at the time too, and I just couldn't get myself to do that. Mostly because the same reason. I don't think I'm ready for that. I don't think I want to know. And it's weird to be in that kind of situation. Like, do you grow out of that? You know what I mean? Like, does that ever go away, or?
I don't know. I think it comes, like, I think, like, if my mom and I were to have a conversation on that, I think it would go a lot better, and I would be more open to asking her. Yeah. Because she sees me, like, kind of eye to eye. Yeah. Versus, like, my dad, where he still has this, like, he doesn't see me eye to eye. Yeah.
Moms are usually like that.
You know?
That's how it is with my mom, too.
Yeah, like, it's just different. Like, they'll just be more real with you versus being, like you said, kind of like...
Because you guys are better than us. You're a better species. You guys get it on a human level, on a primal level.
We make humans.
Exactly. So, you guys win. Not that it's a competition or anything, but... It's not. If it was, you guys win.
I mean, hey, all my ladies.
So,
but the process is just, it never stops.
Yeah, you always keep. Yeah. You're always thinking.
The process never stops, and I think that projects blend into each other. I think that, oh my god, I just like scratched my leg.
It's all good.
I think that, yeah, like a project is never really finished, and that's what my mentor told me. Like, you know, a project is never really finished. You can always like come back and pick it back up.
Gotcha.
And you can always build, and like it's just the, you know, the options are so endless.
Yeah.
Everything is so infinite. When you think about it that way, it's like so, like, it gives me anxiety to think about it. But it's also kind of like calming, where it's like, you know, I'm always gonna be in this like stimulated sense, hopefully. And then at work, you know, that's kind of why I like being in museum settings, because it's like I talk to people, I'm challenged, you know, like when people just don't like quote unquote get it, you know, then I'm like, you know, what am I not, you know, what am I not clearly communicating here? Let me like step back. It's like checking myself all the time. And you know, if I am my work and my work is me, if I believe in that, like, you know, then the process really never stops.
Do you care about how people take in your work? Meaning, do you like controlling the message and how they receive it, or do you leave that open?
I leave that to them.
Okay.
And I think that dance and like my whole like experience and movement, research and all that stuff, like, has really taught me to, again, really just do it for me. Because the practice that we do is like dance theater. It's like very experimental. It has a lot of narrative involved, and like it's very abstract at moments and stuff. And people just don't get it. They don't consider it dance. And so when we take it to these conferences, where it's like school after school after school is doing the same thing. And then they talk shit to us, and they're like, oh, it's the Cal Poly people. And then they give us messages like, we get it. When are you going to perform? When are you going to dance? You know, like really, really harsh things where I was just like, fuck. Like at first that would devastate me. You know, like when my mom first went to go see me dance, perform at Cal Poly, I was so excited. And she was just like, that was terrible. Like, what the fuck?
Who, your mom said that?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And she was like, and she was really nice, you know, like she's like my rock. She's my everything. And then she was like, that was dance? Like, that was not, like, so from my beginnings of all of my art making as far as like movement stuff, it was always just like, that's not dance. You call that dance? What is that? And then until like I started really like investing in my emotions and like really just doing it for me, and like, you know, that kind of like going into the process, meditation, performance, and then kind of stepping out. That's when I was like, you know, like, fuck the bullshit. Like, fuck everything else. You know, I do work for me. And if like only one person acknowledges anything, I'm like, thank you. Like that whole performance, that was for you, girl. Like, for a boy.
That's all you need, one person.
You know, and it doesn't matter as long as I'm true, and I feel good about it. And I feel like moved by it, because I used to even beat myself up about like, you know, doing the wrong choreo, doing the wrong step or something. And then my mentor, Gail, was just like, live in that mistake, learn from that mistake. You know, sometimes a whole other thing can blossom out of that mistake, you know, like you know, like keep it going, like don't just stop and
even
freeze.
The mistakes they mean something, you know. Happy accidents, you know, that can turn into a driving force of the whole piece. You know,
totally. And that's happened in like the choreographic process like so many times where we're like running something over and over and over, and then it's like wait, did you just notice that you did this and that?
I love that shit.
And it's like, no, what? And it's like, do it again, and then it's like you build off of that like quote unquote mistake or that slip moment.
Yeah.
And yeah, so then at that point too, then it was like, fuck it, you know, like if I like feel like I'm gonna fuck up, then I'm gonna own up to that mistake and like, you know,
it's our mistake now.
Yeah, exactly. And like, but still being aware of my surroundings and like my people and making sure that that mistake is not like, you know, gonna hurt someone else, but kind of gauging it really quick. But yeah, I've learned like so much through my mistakes and just being like, this is what it is now. Okay, going with it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like where I'm at now, where I'm just like, anything goes.
Anything goes.
The like possibilities are so endless.
It really is. Yeah, same thing with like music and stuff. Like I love the human aspect of anything, you know. So like when I approach tracks, it's just like I don't even. Yeah, I don't like anything that's super structured. Like I want people to know that like this is a human being made this, you know.
Yeah. So
it's like accepting mistakes and, you know, taking them for what they are, like acknowledging them and being appreciative of them. It just goes. It's part of the process, you know.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and especially like if your work is never finished, you know, like it's just like, well then.
Why does that give you anxiety?
Because I'm a freak about that. Because like growing up, like that's what I thought art was, like doing something, completing it, walking away. So like
your past pieces, like the one about your mom, based on your mom. Do you still revisit that? Or like is that a moment in time that you look back on and you're satisfied with, or you're just like, do you even look back at it, you know?
I think I haven't had the luxury to look back at a lot of my work just because I've been just like so crazy busy. But I have, as far as like with my ensemble and the dance company I'm with, we revisit a lot of like our old work. And it doesn't feel old. Because sometimes it's like, we're like watching old videos and trying to get that process, the choreography again. But luckily I work with such an amazing group of people. Megan is a dance leader. I know, there are a lot of shout out. And so with them, it's just like, you know, we have this skeleton. And we had this thing. How does it feel different now? Why are we different? You know, like we're just really conceptual thinkers.
That's
like
really
my
good.
group, and like I feel like I'm that way too, where I'm just like to the point like it's neurotic. I'm just like, what does this mean? You know, what am I really trying to say? How does this add to the way I was saying earlier? And so when I revisit a work, sometimes I'm like, I have to be like, I can't do it anymore. Like, this is what that was.
This is fully evolved.
Maybe I can do like a part, like a second part, like a transitioning piece. But like my friend and I were talking about revisiting an old work that was based on some like old writings. And she was like, but I don't want to do the same thing. I want it to be in the same vein, same style, same breadth, same kind of like process, but not it.
Yeah, you've grown since that time you did it.
Yeah, exactly.
At that time. So if you're revisiting something, you gotta, to keep it honest, you know, you gotta, I think that difference is natural. You know?
Yeah, like embracing the change.
Yeah.
Acknowledging.
Of the evolution. Yeah. Well, Brenda Reyes-Chavez. No, what was your middle name?
Rochelle.
Yeah. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great.
Are you? Do you have anything else that you want to like get off your chest? Have you said everything?
I think I just hope that everybody like feels inspired, and I feel lucky to be surrounded by thinkers and creatives, and just think that everybody's a creative and everybody should make things. As far as like, you know, whether you need to show it and show the world, it doesn't matter. Do you need to sell it for millions of dollars? No, but just as long as you're staying true to yourself.
No,
just
or
like,
even
I
if
don't know,
it's,
just like stay inspired.
yeah, or even if it's just like for
Like
yourself.
thinking.
You know what I'm saying? I think that's even meditative.
Yeah.
In a way where it's like, no, not everybody needs to see it, but you should have, you know, express yourself to yourself.
Yeah.
And
There you go.
have a conversation with yourself somehow. You know?
There you go.
All right. It was. I love talking to you.
Yo,
I'm very happy that I reached out to you.
Yo, thanks for reaching out. That like, means a lot.
No problem, Ben. All right. We're done here.
Okay. Bye.
That was great.
That was another 2 hours.
It was another hour. Literally. Almost. It was like 51.
Shit.